People think that the biggest fear of getting older is death, but that's not what scares me the most. What does scare me is everything that can happen before it. Hi, I'm Mary, and if you're new here, this channel is about navigating life after 70 with honesty, curiosity, and a little humor. If that sounds like your kind of conversation, then I'd love to have you subscribe. But here are some of the things that scare me the most about getting older. One is loss of energy. It's so much harder to do everything. And I definitely need more rest. Missing the energy I used to have when I was younger. I had 3 kids, a husband, a full-time job, and went to school. Now it's a struggle just to get up in the morning with all the pains that I have. I guess that's why we do have kids when we're young. Now I usually need a nap just to get through the day. Another concern that I'm sure we all have is money. Will savings that we put aside last us for as long as we live? You know, there's always unexpected medical bills, and then inflation that's totally eating away at your savings. Will Social Security get cut? That would be devastating for us all. I mean, we all depended on that Social Security, and my husband and I live together and have the Social Security of each person. But if it were to get cut, I'm not sure how we would survive. That would be a major part of what we have, and maybe we'll be living on the street. Another issue that's very dear to me is adult children moving on. For the longest time, children were the main part of our lives. I had 3 children and spent many years raising them. And I know it's natural for them to move away and have their own lives, wives, husbands, babies. But sometimes when you're a mother or father, you miss being needed by your children. You miss those times when it was just you, your family, and the kids going places and doing things. As I said, that was your whole life. And they move on, they make their own life, they have their kids, they have things to do, and it's harder for them to get in touch with their mother. I know this. But it is a hard thing as you get older to learn and get used to. Another biggie for me, and I'm sure most of you, is losing friends and family. That's, one of the saddest things that happen when you get older. I've lost 2 brothers, a sister, my mother, my father, and several handful of friends. And that's sad, when you have all the friends that you needed before and now they're gone and you don't know what to do. I mean, there are a lot of moments when I thought of that person and something comes up that I know they'd be interested in. And I think, man, I need to call them and let them know. And then I have to stop because, they're not there anymore. And that's sad. Now let's talk about losing independence. When we get older, there is that fear that at some point in our life, we're not going to be able to drive anymore. Not going to be able to take ourselves anywhere. Grocery store, movies, see friends, that kind of thing. We'll have to start depending on others to get us around, and that is a huge fear for me. I have always been very independent, and I don't want to have to go into a home, where they take care of me and I can't do things for myself. I always wanted to make my own choices in life, but there may come a time when that's not going to happen anymore, and boy, that is a fear. And that leads us up to talk about dementia or Alzheimer's. I watched my mother have Alzheimer's for the last 10 years of her life, and that was gut-wrenching. She lost herself along the way, and she didn't remember who we were, who her family was, where she was, and started losing all her memories. For some reason, though, she held on to memories of when she was very young, but she didn't remember her children. She didn't remember growing up, getting older, getting married. She'd say, you know, that wasn't my husband, that wasn't my child. I don't know those grandkids. I never had any kids. And that would be one of the biggest horrors for my life. And then having to live in a nursing home where someone takes total care of you. And I know my mother had to go through it, and odds are perhaps I'll have to, but I really don't want to. And surprisingly, death is not my biggest fear. It's what happens before death that really concerns me. I think of death as a new beginning and a reunion with those that I mentioned I had lost before. What a great union that will be when we get to heaven and all meet up again. I can't wait for that. But yes, these things do scare me, but I can't control getting older. But what I can control is how I live my life today. And what I'm going to do is try to make the very best of that. And I'd love to know what scares you the most about getting older. And if you're comfortable sharing what you've learned about facing that fear, please go ahead and put it in the comments for me. And also, if you've liked what you've heard today, go ahead, make those comments, like my video, and also, if you feel so inclined, go ahead and subscribe. And remember, life isn't over. We're just beginning a new chapter.